history, and it just, it grabs you. You find yourself thinking about all these really incredible cultures that existed at one point, built these amazing lives, and then for whatever reason kind of vanished, just leave behind, these little breadcrumbs.
Totally. It's one of the things that makes history so interesting. And you're in luck today because we're going deep into the world of the Tangut people, the civilization that did something truly unique, which was they came up with their own, like from scratch, system of writing, and it's super complex.
Absolutely. And our guide to this lost world is a YouTube video that looks at the art from Hara Hoto, which was a major Tangut city. And the cool thing is all of this stuff is in the Hermitage Museum and their collections online. So you can go check it out after we're done talking. We're going to be covering like a lot today. Their imperial ambitions, that writing system we were talking about, their kind of unique beliefs about planets, and the surprisingly big role music played in their society.
Our mission for you in this deep dive is simple. We're going to go through the clues in this video and pull out the most interesting insights into the Tangut civilization. Consider this your fast track to understanding a truly unique culture.
Okay, so let's dive right in, starting with their imperial history. The video introduces us to Zhoncho, who was technically like the third ruler, but he's the one who's considered the first emperor of the Tangut state. Back in the 11th century, can you imagine he sent a letter to the Chinese emperor declaring the independence of, get this, the Great Xia state? Bold move, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And for you to get this, it wasn't just talk. Zhoncho spent a lot of time and energy making this independent state a reality. He had to deal with, like, wars, treaties, all these neighboring tribes and states, and he clearly knew that territory was, key. It really shows how tricky it was to build a new state and the constant threat of betrayal back then.
And he was serious about it. He captured Lingzhou, which was a major Chinese city at the time, and made it the Tangut capital. That's a power move, for sure.
No doubt. So you can understand his thinking. Having a strong capital was crucial for, solidifying his power, making this new state he's creating legitimate. But his reign was cut short. At just 41, he was assassinated, kind of out of the blue, attacked by a Tibetan tribe he'd just made peace with.
Talk about a plot twist, right? But his son, Deming, he stepped up, he carried on the work of building the state, and even went as far as declaring his father, Zhoncho, the first Tangut emperor, posthumously. That's some serious family respect, wouldn't you say?
It really is. For you, it shows that Deming understood the importance, a clear line of succession, a good story for this new empire. And then we have Emperor Zhoncho, who the video describes as progressive but also super sus, a mix that led to some real tragedies.
Yeah, this was a wild one. So apparently one of his wives said his newborn son with another woman didn't look like him, and Yancho had both the baby and the mother killed, and then, get this, he's assassinated by his own son, maybe because of a forced marriage. The video says it was the only time in Tangut history a father and son died at the same time, like something straight out of Shakespeare.
Totally. And for you, it gives you a peek into the messy world of imperial power and the drama of succession in the early Tangut state. Then the video shifts to how they showed this imperial power in art, specifically a drawing called Rider on Horse with Spear. It's that classic image of, strength, authority, military might, all things that would have been important for their image.
For sure. And then we get to Tangut officialdom, and this is where the art tells us something really interesting about changing ideas. The video contrasts depictions of officials from the 11th century with those from the 12th and 13th centuries, and at first glance you might just think it's like a change in style.
But as the video points out, the later style shows a growing Confucian influence, trying to show officials as having this reigns gewissen pure conscience, almost like modern-day impartial judges, emphasizing their ethical, their legal roles. It's fascinating to see how art directly reflects these changes in thinking,
It really is. And we also get these artistic representations of Tangut people, officials, monks, beautiful women, even a small wooden figure. And the materials they used are interesting too, like paper, wood, clay, even glass. It gives you a sense of, their crafts, their resources.
Definitely. And moving beyond these portraits, we see everyday objects from Hara Hoto, like delicate silk shoes, hairbrushes, more practical leather and paper shoes, jewelry made from bronze, copper, coral, glass, bronze bells, even simple wooden spoons and shovels. These things give you, a real tangible connection to their daily lives.
And then there's their money. They use Chinese paper money called assignation, an early form of paper money, by the way. But they also had their own round coins with a hole in the middle. And the interesting thing for you is that these coins weren't just for buying stuff. They could be worn as jewelry, like a symbol of belonging to the Tangut state. Pretty cool, right?
Totally. And it shows how much they wanted to create their own identity, not just politically, but in every part of life. Then there's this artwork, a depiction of a man with descriptions of his face and character, all written in their cursive script. Which brings us to their unique writing system.
Yeah, the Tangut script, 6,000 hieroglyphs. Can you believe it? And then there are these like shorthand versions for faster writing. And the way they linked facial features to personality and destiny is really striking, almost like, face reading. It's amazing how their visual and linguistic systems were tied to their beliefs about human nature.
It really highlights a completely different worldview where, appearance and language were intertwined with their ideas about personality and maybe fate, and this incredibly intricate language. I mean, it really shows how sophisticated the Tangut civilization was.
Okay, so let's move on to something truly unique, something you might not have heard of before, the Tangut planet cult. They believed in the planets we know, but also what they called shadow planets, bringing their total to 24. What were these shadow planets exactly?
Okay, so what's really fascinating is that these weren't physical planets like, Mars or Jupiter. They were points where the moon and sun's paths intersected. Imagine them as these invisible points of influence in the sky. The video focuses on one called Racho, shown as the left moon in one artwork.
And the video says Racho was linked to unspoken wishes and often brought bad luck and disappointment. That's kind of a bummer, isn't it?
It is. For you, it hints at a deeper understanding of, human desire and how it can lead to frustration. Then there's Keto, or Dragon's Tail, another important shadow planet in their system. Keto was linked to illusions and detachment, but here's the twist. It could also lead to enlightenment, very different from Racho's negativity.
So one shadow planet tied to disappointment, the other to enlightenment through detachment. Interesting duality there. We also see an artwork labeled as a planet, but the video suggests it's probably a composite image representing their horoscopes, suggesting a pretty complex astrological system.
Exactly. It indicates a deep understanding of how the heavens influence earthly events. And then we see Venus, depicted with a lute and its symbol, Hun, on its head. This brings us to music's role in Tangut life.
Yeah, the video mentions that even before the Tangut state was formed, the Chinese wrote about the amazing voices of the Dengxing people, considered the Tanguts' ancestors. Some even became singers and musicians in the Chinese court. That's impressive.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the video even suggests Tangut might have come from Dengxiang. This connection emphasizes their long musical history. But music wasn't just entertainment. It played a key role in their empire, especially under Li Yuanhao, who the video mistakenly calls Jie Chao. He really pushed for music in Tangut life.
And then we see some actual Tangut hieroglyphs for music terms, like 4 types of flute, a pipe organ, even a phrase meaning playing wind instruments, and symbols for the drum and drumstick. Their musical vocabulary was clearly expensive.
What's interesting is the focus on drums. The video mentions drums were everywhere, especially at funerals. Young people who tragically committed suicide because of forbidden love had drums at their funerals. This suggests music was key for rituals dealing with grief, maybe even social commentary.
That's powerful. The video also shows drawings of musical instruments, not just sketches, but detailed drawings by Nikolai Khatanov, a Russian scientist, based on Tangut texts. The variety is amazing. Flutes, vertical and horizontal, a long trumpet 3 to 5 meters long, a shell for signaling, a lip organ, 4 types of lute, castanets, a frame with musical discs, bells, a lithophone, basically a stone xylophone.
Right. And for you, there's more. A clay wind instrument called sun, a double-sided drum for complex rhythms, and a bowed instrument, the chin. It shows a rich and diverse musical culture.
There's even a drawing of a mysterious instrument, maybe real, maybe just a design. It's like a musical puzzle. And the video touches on how they showed tonality and frequency in their music writing, using black and red originally, though we only have a black and white photo now. That's pretty advanced for the time, don't you think?
Definitely. It suggests they had a deeper, more theoretical understanding of music. And then there's a piece of Hara Hoto music notation. The crazy thing is it hasn't been translated to modern notation, so we don't know the melody. Was it a song, an ode, a hymn? We don't know. It's like a glimpse of something beautiful, but just out of reach.
Yeah, it's a shame we can't hear their music. But these fragments, the art, the language, the beliefs, the countdowns, they all come together to give us a really vivid picture of this complex Tangut civilization. It's amazing what we can learn from what's left behind.
Totally. And we really encourage you, the listener, to check out the online collection at the Hermitage Museum. Seeing these artifacts can give you a much deeper, more personal connection to the Tangut world.
As we wrap up this deep dive, it leaves me thinking. With their big ambitions, their unique beliefs about the cosmos, their art and music, what other secrets are still hidden in Hara Hoto waiting to be discovered? It makes you wonder what other amazing pieces of history are out there just waiting to be found.